Hey guys, so as you can see, myself and Andy are here for Monday's question and answers. Thank you for joining us. Andy's off his tits on pre-workout at the moment, so if he starts gurning, you know why.
Oh, man.
Right then, so we've got a few questions today. We've got 3 questions to go through. Our first question is, I'm struggling with motivation. What can I do?
Take loads of fucking pre-workout. Okay, so I think if you're struggling with motivation and you're externally looking for it all the time, you might not be doing the thing that you enjoy most. So the first thing you want to do is think about why you're doing it. What are the main reasons that you're doing it? We'll call it training. What are the main reasons you're training for, and what you're getting out of it? Because obviously there's times and there's periods of time where we do get a bit more motivated, and then sometimes when we get a bit less motivated, you know, it is in up and downs. I don't think anybody is always 1,000,000%, but it's finding the love for the thing you're doing when it's at the most unenjoyable time.
Yeah.
So I think you have to really knuckle down on the reasons why you are training, what benefits it's giving you, what everything else it's giving you in life in general. So
are you excited by the goal?
Yeah, are you excited by what you're doing on a day-to-day, even on your worst days? Is it still exciting you? And I think it's key as well, when there's times of low motivation, I think it's important to look at everything outside of training that might be having an impact. So I know for myself, at times when I've become not unmotivated, but not too arsed about, you know, running into the gym, it might be a work issue. You know, you might have a heavy load of work to do, you know, there might be some family issues, there might be some, I don't know, other stresses that are causing you to just take your mind off your training a little bit. So I think it's important that once you've got your why, if you still feel a little bit not that arsed sometimes, have a look around everything else and make sure that everything else is in order. Because it could be anything. It could be, you know, a few nights run of a shit sleep. There might be some deadlines at work. So yeah, I think that's important.
It's huge. The way I like to describe it to my clients is, if you imagine like a music producer, and he's got like a switchboard, then dial boards. You've got certain factors in your life.
DJ
Zac on the mix. 2-4 on a beat, please. So if you imagine each dial has an impact, is a factor of your life. So you've got your family commitments, relationships, the gym, work, social circles, etc., etc. Periods through the year, them dials are going to shift, and you can't max them all out. It's as simple as that. You've only got so much energy to give. So there's going to be periods through the year where you're going to have to give more to your family, or you're going to have to give more to work, and the gym might come down and social circles might come down. But then you have a period where you can push the dial up on the gym because you don't have as many work commitments. And I think it's cool to accept that you're not going to be motivated 100% of the time. Think of an Olympian. Like once an Olympian's done the Olympics, you'll hear about where they suffer with depression after the Olympics, because they've gone from this highly motivated, strong period, and then they have a crash. It is natural to have highs and lows. But what you need to get across to yourself is, it's cool. But if you go back to Andy's first point, if you have a reason and a purpose to be doing the activity you're doing, it's easier to ride the period. For example, let's say you're at the back end of a diet and you're on your arse, training's hard, you've got low energy. Sometimes your motivation to train is pretty low. But because the goal is so exciting and it means so much to you, you're going to push through on them really bad days. But if you haven't got an important goal at the end of it, you're just going to think, fuck this, I'm staying in bed today. Of course you are, we're all human, we're all going to do that. So it all comes back down to the main point of why you're doing what you're doing. If you have no why and no purpose, your motivation is going to suffer. Because as Andy said, you're going to be focusing on external factors, external gratifications. You might be doing a photo shoot because you're trying to prove to your ex-boyfriend, girlfriend that you look shit hot. You know, there's a lot of people out there that do that, and then they get halfway through the diet, they've been it, the head isn't in the game.
It's important to think about the long-term benefits to what you're doing, the long-term things towards training, not just a quick fix here, quick fix there. If you're into them quick fix things, then definitely motivation is going to be high and low really frequently. You know, I think setting longer term, or at least having an idea of what you want out of it longer term, or what you're getting out of it, what does training give you, you'll not really struggle with motivation. Like the way people think they're struggling with motivation, there's going to be ups and downs always. But yeah, it's actually quite a pet hate of mine when people keep like trying to find motivation from elsewhere. It's like you're never going to find it elsewhere.
You have to do it yourself.
You got to do it yourself. You got to think about why you're doing it and all the reasons that we've just said. So yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else like pre-workout.
Loads of pre-workout.
Loads of pre-workout.
Loads of pre-workout. Okay, so second question, if Hib can handle it, is I'm currently dieting, I'm dropping on my measurements, but the scale isn't budging. Now this is a common question with any PT, any coach will get asked, where as humans and the way we're brought up, everyone fixates on the scale. Like I believe, and Andy's the same, where we should weigh. Some people argument against it and X, Y, Z. But you've got to get your head around what the scale is actually telling you. All of the scale is telling you on that specific time, on that specific day, your weight in relation to the earth. So for example, the reason I'm saying this, the scale is affected by many attributes. How much water did you drink the day before? How many carbohydrates? Have you done a heavy leg session where you've got a lot of inflammation after it? How much salt did you intake? If you're a female, you've got to consider your hormones, time of the month. If you weigh yourself every single day, it's very rare you'll weigh the same every morning. There'll be fluctuations in the scale. Now I've gone a bit off track there, but once we understand the principle of the scale, it makes everything else a little bit more manageable. Because when you are dieting down, your body's going to fight you every step of the way, because you're stressing the body to go to somewhere it's not been before or hasn't been in a while. So if you're trying to get leaner, you've got to look at the most important factors. Do you look better? Are your measurements going down? Are clothing, is clothing getting bigger on you? They're like the obvious tracking methods of, you're getting leaner. A scale is another tool to help you make decisions in regards to your progression. It's as simple as.
It's one of many tools to use, but like Zac said, it's the most frequent, it's the most common one that everybody goes to, but it is the one that does fluctuate. So if you're taking a daily scale, a daily weight log, and it's messing with your mind, then that's not going to be the best thing. You have to consider the tape measurements, calipers, pictures, especially pictures. They give you really good feedback.
Let's be honest, that's the goal, isn't it? You're looking better. So if you weigh 10 stone on a scale and look like dog shit, or you weigh 10 stone and look sick, it doesn't really matter about the scale, does it? It's about how you look.
And you know what, like the key with scales is developing a good relationship with the scales and understanding it is just a tool and that it's not the main factor. But I have my own personal opinion about it. The scale is important to people individually for different reasons. So for example, a guy or girl that's 3-4 stone overweight, that's just getting started in their diet, we get them on the scales for the first week, they weigh X amount of pounds or kilos. The week after they weigh the same, or we'll say 2 weeks after they weigh the same. I wouldn't go to any other variable. I wouldn't say let's get the measurements out, let's get the pictures out, let's get the calipers out, because right at the start of any diet, when you're at your heaviest and you've made the right changes, you make sure you've got the right calculation with calories and the iron deficit, make sure that's the key. Then it's only the scales that I care about. I couldn't care about pictures, I couldn't care about measurements, I only care about the scales in the first few months. It depends how fat you are, it depends how overweight you are. So the scales to me is so different person to person. If it was at the back end of a diet, I would be a bit more cautious about using scales midway. Are you with me? So
actually it serves its purpose.
It serves its purpose for different people. Like I would hate for somebody to say, Andy, I've been dieting for 2 weeks, when they're like 4 stone overweight, but my weight hasn't changed, but it's all right, isn't it? We can get the pictures and we can find some measurements. Like, nah, fuck that. You're still fat. You're not sticking to the diet, or there's some calculations wrong or whatever. Because only weight matters at that point for that person. So,
as you get leaner and leaner, you need more tracking tools.
Yeah.
because you have to stress and track more anally to get the body leaner.
That's it.
So if you're overweight, simple does it best. You know, you don't have to track your food as much. You know, you can just do food diaries if you're really overweight, and that'll instantly drop weight because you start cleaning up your food naturally. Yeah. But then that only works so long. So then you got to start jumping on the scale, and then you got to start calculating this. Yeah. Then you got to use your measurements and photos. And
yeah, when you're in like when you're stage lean or when you're very, very lean, that's when we have to use all the variables. Because like you say, carbohydrates, salt, water will all have an impact on the way you look. At that point, scales will just be right, okay, that's just one of the tools to use. We'll have to use them all at this point. So if you're far out and you're overweight, just get on the scales because you've got loads of time losing weight. And then as you get leaner, then your other variables come in. That's my thought process around the scales, definitely.
So don't get fixated on the scales, they are a tool.